Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about the Gundam card game. I'm going to be giving my promised review of all of the starter decks and sort of talking about the starter deck format in general. Before I do that though, I want to give some sort of context on things that I'm going to be valuing in the starter deck format. So I think this is just general stuff that is true in these early games. So for Aggro's King, I think that's just something that you're going to have to accept. In early card game formats, and in particular formats without much removal, being able to just be aggressive is going to be the most valuable thing you can do. It's things that I'm going to be thinking about when I evaluate these cards. There is a general lack of removal. Because there is a lack of removal, units that are sticky, units that are efficiently statted, are going to be very, very valuable. This is one, because they are hard to remove, but also two, because they are your only form of removal, really, the fact they can efficiently trade is going to be really valuable. For example, a 2-4 is going to be great because it can trade into a 3-2 and survive, but a 2-3 is not going to be able to do the same. That's what I mean. It's also worth saying that you should probably be aware of the kind of triggers just that exist. There's really very few that are relevant, though, honestly. There's a couple, but by and large, the triggers are not going to have a massive impact on the game, though you should obviously play around like the situations where they might come up. So the triggers are going to be relatively low impact. The other thing to be aware of is going to be because of summoning sickness, link pairing is going to be a very valuable thing you can do, and so we are going to be thinking about everything in the realm of link pairing. Let's go ahead and jump into the actual deck list so we can, for some reason, let's go ahead and jump into the actual deck list so we can actually have a discussion about this. Here we go. So let's get cracking. Here we have ST01, which is Heroic Beginnings. And I'm going to start by talking about this. And in terms of deck lists, the one thing I want to say is that all of the LRs are at 2 copies and all of the command cards are at 2 copies. I believe other than that, it's just 4 copies. So we can kind of talk about this a bit more easily. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. Now, one of the big things, I think one of my issues with this starter deck is if we look at the actual cards we have here, and we look at the link pairings, there is a real issue with there not being a great deal of redundancy. So in this starter deck, you can only really pair with Suletta Mercury, or that's sort of it, right? Or Armor Array. Those are your only 2 options. So that is an issue. You know, we can look through, but I'm basically going to say like the big problem with starter deck 1 is the fact that it is that you don't have redundancy. Now, you do have some really, really powerful units, right? As we sort of look here, we can see that your units that link, they do come down relatively early. One is level 4, one is level 5. They're not super late. You have lots of relatively low to the ground units, and I think a really big thing is you've got some nice efficiently statted bodies there. You've got a 3-2-2-4 and a 4-2-3-4. Those are really, really good. Obviously, besides your LRs, you've got a 2-1-2-2, and you have got 8 blockers. So I think these are things that are really, really good. Another really, really good thing, and we'll see if it's actually going to load, those are the tokens, is that you have probably the best base in this format, which is this white base team. This is really good because it lets you just generate units, even if you don't have cards in hand. And I think that's one of the things you're going to see is that you are going to be running really low on hand. There's basically no plussing, and you're kind of trying to play out as many cards as you can on your board because, again, going wide and if nothing else, just to make efficient trades is going to be really, really valuable. This deck also has Suletta Mercury to kind of untap resources, so maybe you're even being able to play out more units than you otherwise would. So I think there's a lot going for this. It's also very easy to play. The lines are pretty obvious, right? Like, basically read your cards, and if you see a link pair, just do it. Like, that's basically going to be it. One of the issues is these command cards are all pretty terrible. Like, genuinely, none of these are even remotely exciting. One of the things I'll say, just as a general thing, like, these decks are kind of, if you manage to link pair your LR, you're probably going to win the game anyway. So like that's kind of like a general thing. So I don't want to give too much credence to it. Like, that's going to be with any of these. If you manage to get the LR online, like, you're going to be doing something really game swinging because the LRs are powerful enough cards that they're going to see playing constructed, right? But they're a minority of the cards in the deck. So yeah, overall, I think this deck is easy to play, and I think it does have some stuff going to it. But as I think you'll see as we kind of go through this, that there are very compelling factors from the other starter decks that are going to make you probably want to gravitate towards those. And I'd say this might even be the least exciting. So if we then move on to starter deck 2, I think the first thing we can say is that Wing Gundam is like the biggest bomb in this starter deck format. This card is absolutely crazy. It's obviously like really, really scary. The breach and the fact that if you pair it with Hero Yui, it's a 7/7. It's really, really hard to remove. And so you're going to be able to trade, and you're also going to be able to nuke down your opponent's life or destroy their base in one shot. In particular, this is going to destroy every single base. So this is really, really, really scary, right? Let's not pretend like it's not. I think the other thing that is notable is if we look through the pilots here, right? So this card ramps, which is less good in a starter deck format. It's not a very efficiently started body. It's like a 2/2 for 3. It's really not great, but it links with Hero Yui, right? So already that is, I believe, because I believe there is another card that links with Hero Yui in the starter deck. I don't think I'm gaslighting. I'm pretty sure there is a third, which is why I was already a little bit more excited about this one. But we'll just go through and verify. But while I sort of talk about ramp, so this links with Troa Barton, so it's not this guy, so it must be the next one, maybe. Oh, there's 2 more cards. So the thing with the ramping is like, if you can do it, like if you go second, I think it's really scary because you go second on your third turn, so when you have 4 resources, you play it out, you go up to 5 with the X's, and then on the next one you get to slam down your Wing Gundam whilst maintaining your EX resources, which is obviously quite scary. Okay, this is not it either. Those both are link pairs with the command cards, so maybe it's this one or maybe not. Maybe I just misremembered. Okay, I guess it's just 6 copies from this one. Then our secondary option here on the link pairing is gonna load here, and it is, here we go. It's Zex. So okay, one big issue is how late the cards in this deck are, right? They basically all pair really, really late, and I think that's going to be an issue where into the sort of more aggro-y decks, unless you basically see a bunch of blockers, you're going to be struggling. So you have kind of the same number of link units as previously, but they're all coming in a bit later. I will say I think these are all like really quite meaningful link pairings. They do like really scary stuff, but one of the things I wanted to say, and the reason I'm a lot higher on this starter deck, is 3 different cards that we sort of make the comparison. So your top end's scarier, you're acting a little bit more in the mid range, like you're not quite as early as like starter deck 1, but if we look at this, right, this command just gives you breach, right? So for 1 cost, you can just like do something really efficient. Like when you're making those trades, you can just go, okay, well, I'm trading anyway. I haven't destroyed your EX base yet. I don't need to waste an attack. I don't need to make myself vulnerable to you being able to interact with my board, because that's another thing, right? You're basically, until your opponent starts attacking you, you're not going to be able to really interact with their board. So you can go, okay, well, I'm actually going to give my thing breach, then I'm going to trade with your thing, and I'm actually going to take out your EX base as well. And I'm going to maybe do way more damage than you think I'm going to. So this is a really, really potentially meaningful command card. And then the other thing is, this is probably the most, like, this is the best defensive tool in the starter deck format by far, which says I'm not going to take damage actually when you attack my base. And so you only have 2 copies, you have 4 copies of this, I believe, because it's the dual command pilot, which means that this is crazy. Like, obviously against the bigger things, this is going to be worse, but actually it's against some of the better decks, which I think really is going to be Starter Deck 3, and we'll come on to that in a second. This is going to sort of stop all of those. So this is a really, really powerful tool. The fact that you kind of get to just go, no, actually I'm going to survive there here. So I mean, yeah, I just think on the defensive tool side, this deck has some really, really good ones. You're also probably going to try and maintain EX resources, so you probably will have those resources hanging around. So I think that is very, very good as well. And then the last thing I want to quickly say is this base is probably not quite as good as White Team base, but it is really, really solid, which is going to load. But this is going to make you here we go. You deploy one of these tokens if it is your turn. So obviously nowhere near as good, but not awful. It doesn't have the same, it doesn't let you come back into the game perhaps in the same way that hitting 1 out of life in the Starter Deck 1 will, but it's still pretty solid. So I think there's a lot to really like here. But as I say, I still don't think this is the best starter deck. I think I don't think it's close. I think Zeon's Rush is just like absolutely like far and away the best starter deck, and we'll come on to why now. But I think this is like absolutely crazy. So the first thing to say is that Zeon's Rush, it doesn't have blockers, but it doesn't need them because it's playing this like ridiculous quantity of very, very cheap units. So first, if we look at the red side of the deck, we have a level 2, 2-1, a level 1, 1-2. So we have a bunch of cheap units there. And then we have this level 3, 3-2, which... just going to load here. I'm just double checking this link pairing. I believe this is the one with the command dual type. Yeah, this was the other thing. So this is just Neo Zeon trait, right? So this is just generic. So we have 4 copies of a generic link pair. And then we have 4 more copies of a specific link pair. Now, I believe this one's level 6. So, you know, let's not get too excited about that. But this is the specific one with the with Angelo Sorpa, who I believe is level 6. So obviously that's not ideal. It's going to basically be basically like you're not going to be able to link this until way too late, until it's going on to this guy. But the fact that this goes on to any but it's redundancy, and I think that's sort of the main thing, is like you might actually feasibly hit that stage in the game, and then you have that redundancy to actually always be able to have that linking going on. The other thing is here we've got another 1-drop here, 1-2. We've got a 2-1, 1-2, and this card, I believe this makes a token as well. I know the one next to it, the level 3-3, does as well. I'm just double checking this one. But, oh, sorry, no. So this attacks as a 3-2. So again, okay, so this does some potentially really nice trading. But like the big thing here is like that is a really large number of very cheap units you can just shit out onto the board, right? You have this one, this goof, which lets you make a token. So again, you are just going really, really wide. You have this Char's Zaku, which pairs with Char, which is gives you high maneuver, and searches your top cards of your deck to replenish your hand in a deck that's trying to go really, really wide when this, I believe this is on defeat. So like, that's just really, really meaningful. And it's a very cheap unit, right? So yeah, the other thing is, so that's sort of the trade-off there. But the other thing is you have way less link pairs, but I think you don't care, right? This deck kind of gets to ignore needing all the link pairs because you just go, I am just shitting out a board as wide as possible. I am turning my card sideways, and I am doing my absolute best to just kill you. With the sort of upside of, if I don't kill you, like near the end of the game, then whatever, it's fine because I got this absolutely huge bomb once we hit level 6 that I can just like start slamming these haymakers. You also have some really, really powerful cards in the command card. So again, you're only getting 2 copies of this, annoyingly, but this will remove most things that are played early game in the starter deck format. The big thing is this is going to remove all the blockers. I think that's the bigger thing. If you are going to lose because of a blocker, you get to say, no, actually I don't lose because I'm just going to go ahead and kill your thing. You can also use this on your opponent's turn, so you can kind of bluff that you have nothing to do. And if your opponent doesn't know what's coming, then that's going to really mess them up. And then you also have a base that snipes out blockers here in this red base. This is a pretty good one. It snipes out the 1/1 blockers. And then you have another base that is quite decent. So you have one that does like a ping damage, which can let you do some trades, and like ping damage is definitely like quite good. And then this one, which is just loading, I believe this, you also make a 3/1. So you have another base that is going to let you do something. So you can just play this late game. You can play this to just like gain cards, right? Like this is the other thing. This deck, you're going to be okay gaining cards because you are just going like as wide as you can. So this ends up being really nice because this is like, you play this like even once your EX base is destroyed, you take a life, you make a 3/1, and then you probably have like another 1 to 3 cost to play with. So you can play out like another unit, and you've just played 2 units, you've drawn a card, like you've created this body here to buffer you. Like it's really good. I just think this go wide strategy is just like really, really strong in this starter deck format. So that's why I think, like, yes, you have less pilots. Like I mean that's the thing, right? Like you look at this and there's actually like very few link pairs. The nice thing is on this red side you get redundancy, so all of your red units basically later on in the game can link pair. But you have like the more specific requirements here on the green ones. But Char gives a generic thing when it's paired, I believe. It's linked for high maneuver, but otherwise it gains the plus AP. So you gain like the ability to do those efficient trades no matter what. I believe. So yeah, it gains plus 1 AP, and then if it's linked, it also gains high maneuver. So yeah, I mean, I think this is just super good. We also have this guy who is going to let you do some very efficient trades because I believe he buffs your AP. Yeah. So this, I think, I don't want to sleep on the. Oh, sorry. I'm a goober. I'm a complete goober. I take it back. This guy pairs with the whole deck. Oh, that's crazy. Sorry. Yeah, so even the disadvantages I was saying actually don't exist because this guy pairs with the whole deck. So you have the surprise factor, and also you can pair this with like literally your whole deck besides your main guy. So you have 8 copies that pair with this that you get 4 copies of. So there we go. I think that pretty much seals the deal. This is definitely the best deck because you have more of that redundancy. Yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section down below, but I think Zeon's Rush is just absolutely nuts. And then we can talk about the final starter deck here, which is starter deck 4, which I think is also quite good, but I don't think it's as good as the others. So the first thing to say is it has a good level spread on the LRs, though obviously again we sort of acknowledge the sort of issue there. If we look at the pilots, though, I believe this one was a better spread of linking, if I remember correctly. So the legend is Kira Yamato, and then this is also Kira Yamato, I believe. And then I think the other one was Operation Meteor or Earth Federation or something. Yeah, this is Kira Yamato, and then this one, I think, I might be misremembering. If I'm misremembering, I apologize. But I distinctly remember this one having slightly better. Okay, that's Mula Flogger, so maybe it's the next one. Or maybe I'm just, a liar. It's entirely possible. My memory has been wrong this entire video, so... yeah, oh, this one doesn't link. Okay, maybe it was on the other half. Okay, so thing to say here is we have a blocker, and then we have a 2-2-3-2, so this is quite nice. This guy... I feel like his stats are not good enough. He's a 3-3 that comes out, I believe, at level 3, which is like, it's fine. Level 4, 2 cost, 3-3. It's just like, he does filter you, but like, I think 3-3 is actually, I don't know. I mean, the problem is like, he can't trade with the 2-4s. The 2-4s can't trade with him, which is obviously good, but the 3-2s will trade with this guy, and there's a few of those. So I don't know. But if we then look at the red half of this deck, I think we see that, again, there isn't really much redundancy. I guess, yeah, I must have been misremembering. I must have really just been thinking about Xeon Strike. So this is Zala, and then next while is... Sorry, God, my laptop is so bad. And then I think this is also Zala. Yeah, so both of these are Zala. And then there's also this level 2, which is going to let me down and not be generic. I can feel it. Oh, okay. It is letting me down. There we go. Cool. Yeah, so I think that's sort of the issue for me, is that as good as a lot of these cards in the deck are, and as there are some really, really nice link pairs, the bases in this one are probably the worst. It doesn't have any... command cards that I kind of go, whoa, oh my god, that's crazy. It's just fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. This one was pretty good, actually. This command card was pretty good. I remember that. And I think Hawk of Endymion had potential to be really annoying if your opponent didn't see it coming. But this card's decent because it'll make you a 4-2 or a 2-4, so there's versatility there for what it's worth. So, like, versatility is valuable. And then this guy, Hawk of Endymion, I think that's what this card is. Does have that good effect of, I think it taps, or it might bounce. If it bounces, that's a little better, just on the tempo sort of side. Yeah, so this is interesting because it main and action you do get a bounce, and like Obviously, in the starter deck format, like this is one of the better forms of removal, just because it's like a meaningful interaction in like at the cheap stage of the game. I think in the opening turns really, or in particular against go wide. So I think that's sort of the real value of this card, and you get 4 copies of it, so it can be really, really annoying. And I believe this will just nuke tokens out of existence, so that's worth saying. But overall, I think we'll sort of cut back and give you my overall opinions. Okay, so overall review. Sorry, I had to reboot the computer. Overall review. So I think you can sort of look through, and each of the starter decks does have something really going for it. I think ST03 is just the best because one, you have you have 8, you have you have a pilot that's kind of dead, which is a bit annoying, which is your level 6 pilot, which you have 4 copies of, and that only goes with your LR. Well, not only, but basically until late game only. Bit annoying, but you have 8 pilots that go with your dual type, so that's viable. That's valuable, and they're all cheap. So you have just 2 extra copies that you can kind of get your guy onto early game. That's really, really valuable. The other thing is the deck just goes super wide, right? You think about how many different units you are going to shit out your whole hand, right? Like turn 3, you're probably going to have no hand because you're just playing the whole thing out. And you're not really getting that many cards from your hand through like life, because most of them are going to be going to trash. So that is going to be really valuable. That's going to be the premier thing to beat. I think that's sort of the big deal. You are going stupid wide, and you're forcing your opponent into like really tough situations. And like, okay, well, because if you think about it, you like play out, like you can rush your opponent down very, very efficiently. And then obviously like you hit late game and you just like get one lucky link off, and then like boom, that's the game, right? So I think it's very, very good. The other decks, I would say, I think starter deck 2 has like the biggest bomb, but probably has like, it's the most high rolly, I would say. I think it's like it's very much like if you see all that stuff and you get there and you get to like play your 7/7, your opponent doesn't have an out, like okay, cool, you're gonna win, you got to win Gundam, great, you survived, and like boom. Starter Deck 1 is easy to play, solid value. I don't think it's doing anything amazing, but I think like it's probably the most stably like doing something decent. So there's that, right? And obviously, like you can imagine, if you only draw the top end part of the Xeon deck, then it's going to be really bad, because your whole thing is you're trying to play the Sakura strategy. And I think Starter Deck 4 is probably the most valuable, because it actually has meaningful interaction into that strategy, into that Xeon Rush. So in my opinion, I would say the best starter deck is Starter Deck 3, 100%. I think Starter Deck 2 is probably second best, just because of the high rolling. But honestly, I think I would probably put Starter Deck 1 about as good. I would put Starter Deck 4 as kind of the worst, but only because, in theory, there's going to be an equal number of all these decks, right? And so you can't like meta game. But if you think everyone is going to be taking Starter Deck 3, then I would probably take Starter Deck 4, because I think you get a meaningful interaction, you get a bunch of cheap stuff that's doing something good, and then like once you survive that early game, like you're absolutely fine, because they're probably going to struggle to get through your stuff, and you have some like nice blockers. There we go. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel for more Gundam card game content, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.